Okay, everybody's favorite things are fractions and factoring. So let's get right into it. Let's say we've got 2x squared plus 8, and we're asked to factor that. That's an expression, not an equation, an expression, and because there's no equal sign. And we have to remember the first step of every factoring problem is to remove the greatest common factor. And I notice that the 2 and the 8 are both even. Therefore, I can remove the 2. And when I do that, the greatest common factor is 2, and that leaves me with x squared plus 4. Okay. Now, whenever I've got a power greater than 1, I'm going to try to factor it. But in this case, this is not the difference of two squares. This is the sum of two squares, which cannot be factored further. This is actually the only thing I can do. That is my answer right there. I have factored that first expression. Let's take another one. Let's go with x squared minus 9. This has more possibilities because this could be represented as x squared minus 3 squared, couldn't it? And that would mean that this is actually x plus 3 times x minus 3, as shown in the instructions. Guys, you must remember how to factor the difference of two squares. All right, let's do another one. 4x squared minus 25y squared. Wow, I've introduced a second variable. No problem, because I can recognize here that this is 2x squared minus 5y squared. How is that? Well, 2x times 2x, 2 times 2 is 4. X times x is x squared. That's 4x squared. And this is a minus, and that's 5 times 5 is 25y squared. So this simply equals 2x plus 5y times 2x minus 5y. Are we good? All right. Let's do another one. Let's do a trinomial now. That's 3 terms. That'll be x squared plus 5x minus 14. Now, guys, I've allowed you to do this any way you know how, but we need to remember that this is a trinomial, and if you don't know how to factor it, I suggest you do the AC method. And remember that this is in the form ax squared plus bx plus c, which is the standard form for a quadratic. The a in this case is 1. Well, that is a big advantage, because now I can just take this. I take the a times c is 1 times negative 14. I'm looking for a difference because that's negative. The difference of the b term is 5. The difference equals 5. In other words, two factors that multiply to be 14 have a difference of 5. And that would be 2 and 7, wouldn't it? Okay, those are the factors. So I can actually, because a is just 1, I can go x, 2, and x, 7, and figure out what the signs are. Well, it's plus 5x, so that's going to be plus 7x, plus 7, and minus 2. And that's my answer. I don't have to replace the middle term. I'm ready to go. All right? Let's do another one. Make it a little more complicated. How about 3x squared plus 11x plus 10? Okay, now I try to divide everything by 3, but 3 won't divide evenly into 11 or 10. So I'm going to have to do the AC method. A times C is 3 times 10 is a plus 30. That means I'm looking for what? A sum of the B term equal to 11 what adds to 11 and multiplies to be 30 is 5 times 6. All right, so I replace the middle term with 5x and 6x. That'll be equal to 11x. I haven't really changed anything. I've just replaced the middle term with its equivalent. Now I can do that either way, but I recognize that 3 and 6 are both divisible by 3, aren't they? So I'm going to actually do this 3x squared plus 6x plus 5x, recognizing that 6x plus 5x is equal to 11x plus 10, and now I do grouping. Guys, you could put the 5 here and the 6 here. It would just work out eventually to be the same exact thing. Now what's common in this? There's a 3x that I can take out. That leaves me with x plus 2. And that's the good part about grouping. Once you get that x plus 2 in parentheses, come right over here, put it down there again. These are always the same. What multiplies by x plus 2 to be 5x plus 10 is 5. And so that takes you to the common part is x plus 2. And then what's left over? The 3x plus 5. And that, my friends, is the answer to this problem. Now you can multiply those out by foiling and prove that that's equal. Okay, let's do another one. I've got 2x cubed minus 10x squared plus 6x minus 30. All right? And now, oh, every one of those is even. Ooh, I caught it. So there's a 2 I can take out of there. X cubed, boy, I'd love to take an x out, but I can't. Minus 5x squared plus 3x minus 15. See how I did that? The first step of every factoring problem is to remove that greatest common factor. All right, now, what's common here? Because I've got 1, 2, 3, 4 terms, I'm going to do grouping. So that's 2 times x squared comes out of there, and that's going to leave me with x minus 5. That x minus 5 comes over here, and then that's plus 3, isn't it? So let's see what I've got. I've got 2, and then I've got the common x minus 5. And what am I left with? X squared plus 3. Okay, well, I've got x squared. That means I'm going to try to factor that further. But 3 isn't a perfect square, and it's a sum anyway. So that is the answer. Okay, let's go to the cubes now. All right, well, we're going to do some cubes. And let's take an example of 2x cubed plus 16. Now, okay, here again. Can I remove a greatest common factor? Yes, 2. That becomes x cubed plus 8. All right, well, I've got to remember my formula. X cubed plus y cubed equals x plus y times x squared minus xy plus y squared. And I've written that in the instructions. Guys, you got to remember that. Now here's where I've used the SOP technique to remember this. What does that mean? Same sign as that plus, opposite sign goes right there, and then the positive sign, S-O-P. That'll help you remember that. And it's just the same thing written here because this x is the x plus y. It's plus sign, then it's going to be the opposite sign there, and the positive sign there. All right, but what is this? Now this is x cubed plus 8. Well, isn't that equal to 2 times x cubed plus 2 cubed? Yeah? So what do I have? I've got 2 times x plus 2, and then it's x squared. Then you multiply the two numbers together, the 2 times the x, and it's a minus sign, minus 2x, and then plus y. In this case, y is 2, so that's 2 squared is 4. And there's my answer. Okay, let's take another one. Let's do 16x to the 4th minus 54x. Oh, well, here's what I noticed right off. They're both even again, and they both have x in them. So I can actually remove 2x. And what do I get? 8x cubed minus 27. Okay, I can deal with that. Now here's where you need to recognize some things. 2 cubed equals 8. 3 cubed equals 27. 4 cubed equals 64. And 5 cubed equals 125. Those are numbers you ought to know in advance. You should just remember them. Okay, so what do I do now? Let's factor this. 2x, and this, what does that represent? Isn't that in fact 2x cubed? And isn't 27 3 cubed? Do you see that? So I've got the 2x, then I've got the 2x minus 3, then I'm following the formula here where it's same, opposite, positive. So the same is going to be x squared. That's 2x times 2x. That's 4x squared. Then I've got the opposite sign. That's going to be a plus sign. And it's 2x times 3. That's 6x. And then I've got this last term, which is 3. And I'm squaring it. And it's always positive. Plus 9. And that is the answer.